Skip it up and that up.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is episode 3 of the Rich and Red podcast. I am joined once again by Liana Kersner, and we have a whole bunch of interesting stories this week. Before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know that we are trying to keep the Rich and Red podcast sponsorship free, mainly because we want to talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about and not have to worry about sponsors running away screaming, because we do know that they do that. We do have a Patreon, which will have a link in Podbean if you're watching it or listening, I should say, on there. And I believe because we're now on iTunes and Google Play. Again, this is like the third time we tried to record this. I almost forgot to mention it again. We listened to you. A lot of you on Twitter asked for it on iTunes, and then someone said, hey, why don't you put it on Google Play too, which there's a whole crap ton of people on this planet with Android phones. So that's a pretty smart idea. I don't know why I didn't think of it myself. So we're on there too. So you can listen to the podcast now on iTunes and Google Play. But again, we're trying to keep it sponsorship free. We're actually giving 2 really cool perks on Patreon, which will be a link in Podbean. And I believe the link is also on iTunes and Google Play. I have it in there too. For $1 a month, you get access to a high quality MP3, which you could download and play anywhere. And on top of it, you get access to the video version of the podcast. So $1 a month, which is the minimum you need to support us, you get access to 2 really cool things, which I know on other Patreons, they actually ask for a decent amount more than that. So for $12 a year, you help support the show and you get access to 2 really cool perks. So if you do support the show, thank you again in advance. And hopefully we're going to do it for 6 months, I would say. Let's see what happens. And if we could do it, that'd be awesome. And it would make this podcast just be amazing if we could talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about and not have to worry about sponsors. But speaking of people who've lost sponsors. That was a good segue. You got to give me that.
That was a very good segue.
That was an excellent segue. Speaking of people who lost sponsors, even though I have no mercy for the guy because he, what was he making? $18 million a year. But anyway, Bill O'Reilly's fired. He actually got shit canned. By Fox and News Corp. I am shocked. Now, Liana's more up to date on this or up to snuff on it, so I'm going to have her take over from here. I do have one interesting tidbit of info on Bill, but I'll let her start and I'll bring that in later.
So since we last talked about this, he went on a vacation, took a picture with the Pope, all that stuff. And while that happened, the lawyers sunk their teeth into this and negotiated some sort of exit. Now, it's possible that negotiation means he continues to be paid even though he's not on the air, because he did sign a contract. So, but the advertisers did not come back, which was obviously the big thing. There were protests outside of Fox News building. Another woman came forward to the tip line. The lawyers grilled the crap out of the existing complainants, and apparently they held up because the investigation from the same firm that investigated the Roger Ailes stuff that eventually led to his exit led with Bill O'Reilly is no longer on Fox News. Tucker Carlson will replace him for the time being. A panel show called The Five will be moving into Tucker Carlson's 9 p.m. spot. So that's where it is at Fox News now, which it takes a lot for your most highest rated host by far to be out. It shows just what a nuclear issue sexual harassment is. And obviously they had some credible evidence, or I think they would have not wanted to get sued themselves.
Well, what I heard too is, and I'm not up to snuff on all the details behind it, is that there was some multi-billion-dollar deal, like $14 billion deal that was going on between Fox and Sky News, I believe.
Yep.
And they were on the fence about it. I think part of the reason was because of Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly makes Fox a lot of fucking money. Okay, but they don't make him $14 billion worth of money. So once that was on the line, from what I heard, and maybe there was more details than they missed out on. It was like the Murdochs were like, I'm sorry, Bill O'Reilly ain't worth $14 billion. He's out. He's done.
Yeah, well, there was no business reason to keep him. It was apparently Rupert Murdoch saying he doesn't like caving to public pressure. And the Sons were like, well, there's internal pressure too, essentially. But yeah, I mean, those international deals are so important to cable news agencies. And I suspect he's going to end up at Glenn Beck's online service based on the way Glenn Beck is like flying the flag about him today. No surprise if he lands there. He could just retire as well. He could be sick of this nonsense. He's going to spend the rest of his life rolling around in his money.
I don't. Well, Glenn Beck, the Blaze is going up in a blaze. They're dead. They're dying anyway. I should say. I know that they're having a whole like restructuring and they're trying, but they're not. So I don't think there'll be a blaze for Bill O'Reilly to go to. I don't know. I mean, on top of it too, Bill O'Reilly just released a book that's like the #1 bestseller anywhere you go on Amazon. It's like the top best-selling book there. Bill O'Reilly's fine. I mean, he's one of those people who has such a fragile ego that I'm sure this is a lot more devastating to him than it should be. But, dude, you call the woman black chocolate as you were staring at her cleavage.
Yeah, hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate. Yes, that's true. I have the article right here. Black woman says Bill O'Reilly harassed and called her hot chocolate. And believe me, he would look at her cleavage and legs and call her hot chocolate. And the thing about her, what makes her complaint credible is she doesn't want money. Yeah. She just wants to call him out on his bullshit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if we hear from Bill O'Reilly again. I mean, the miserable bastard's been around for how many decades now? I mean, retire, man. Go. I mean, maybe go sexually harass, or how about go get some hookers? They're easier, Bill. I'm sure with the money you have, dude, you could go to Vegas and there'll be top quality hookers and you'll be good. And it'll be legal because you're in Vegas or whatever city in Vegas, the Bunny Ranch, it's legal. And I don't know. I don't care what Bill O'Reilly does with his dick, to be quite honest with you. But, oh, man, it's just amazing how long he got away with it for so long due to Roger Ailes, though. Roger Ailes is like his crony with it. And how could Roger Ailes fire him when Roger Ailes was doing the same shit?
And I think that's why this happened now, even though some of these allegations go back a decade.
Roger Ailes covered his ass.
Yeah.
So, whatever. I mean, once I found out how much money News Corp and Fox were on the risk of losing, I was like, yeah, he's done.
Yeah.
There's no way. He's not worth it. I mean, isn't that so fucked up, though? It's like, you could be a big piece of shit, but if you make enough money to circumvent that, if you're profitable enough, you can still be a piece of shit. But once you're too much of a piece of shit that you end up not being profitable, then they get rid of you. So it's like the moral compass is only valid when you're costing money or at the risk of costing money. Oh, what a wonderful world we live in.
That's the media. The media. That's why, whenever these other networks, like all these other networks now are going, oh, tisk, Bill O'Reilly. Wait, I think this is just the beginning of a cascade effect. We're going to start hearing more stories because this is not isolated.
No, of course not. It's in every business, even outside of like news and entertainment. It's everywhere, man.
Well, certainly businesses where there are powerful people and there's a lot of money changing hands.
You go into like retail or someone that's like a supervisor making $12 an hour and you have that shit going on. It's unfortunately a part of a very gross part of the human DNA.
Yeah.
You would think we would have evolved beyond that, but I guess,
we're getting better. I mean, before this just happened and it was deal with it. This is the reality of, working, especially working in certain careers. The fact that he did get fired is evolution in its own way, as small comfort as that may seem.
Yeah, but it's evolution because there was money to be lost. I think if Ailes was still there, his ass would have been covered and they would have found a way to get around it.
Well, like they did the first time.
Yeah. It's because Ailes wasn't there and things came out that would have been covered up, that made sponsors run away, that made all this happen. And plus, I think Bill O'Reilly really thought because he was the top dog over at Fox and their biggest moneymaker, I really think he thought he was invincible. I think.
Yeah, he certainly behaved like it.
He thought that he could do whatever the fuck he wanted to, and he thought he was going to get away with it. And this time he was too costly. But whatever. Woe is me. Like I said, we'll end with this about Bill O'Reilly. He has a top selling book right now on Amazon. I'm sure he'll be okay with the $18 million motherfucking dollars a year that he was making. But anyway, speaking of people that are insane, I know Liana was dreading talking about this guy because Alex Jones. Alex Jones. Okay, I'm going to actually have Alex Jones. He's having a pretty messy divorce from his wife, and now they're fighting over custody. From what I heard, I've seen pictures and stuff. He was cheating on her, so on and so forth. None of that's validated, though. So Alex, which, I don't think you would care about our podcast yet because not enough. He will one day, though. But right now, he won't care. Alex, if it's not true, it's not true. I know people run their fucking mouths. People have said horrible things about me that aren't true. So whatever. But he's divorcing his wife. We'll just stop with that. Whatever the case may be. If he was cheating, he wasn't cheating. That's besides the point. He is going through a custody battle with his children now. And his wife was saying things like he's not stable. Some of the stuff that he does at the house, the kids hear it because he records for his show at the house, blah, 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 blah. And his lawyer, to cover his ass, is saying that he is a performance artist. It's not real. It's a character that he puts on. His attorney is Randall Wilhite. Wilhite. And
they're calling it the Hulk Hogan defense.
Yeah, the Hulk Hogan, it's a character. He's playing a character. Wilhite said he is a performance artist. Now, his wife said he is not a stable person. He wants to break Alec Baldwin's neck. He said other things. And she's also concerned that he's engaged in felonious behavior, so on and so forth. You'll never know because when people get divorced, they're just looking to take jabs at each other. But the thing is about this, is that the funniest thing is Alex just had a video up, I believe either yesterday or today. I just watched it though, where he's saying, he never mentions that this is a part of his divorce hearing. He's just saying, oh, this is what the mainstream media is trying to do. They're trying to say that I'm a character and all these different acts I put on aren't real, and he never mentions, though, that's the part that bothers me, that this is his lawyer trying to keep his custody of his children. He's just making it like, oh, the mainstream media is attacking me. No, Alex, this is coming out from your court case that you're trying to keep your custody battle. Why don't you mention that? Why do you just talk about it like, oh, the mainstream media is attacking me? No, they're not. This is you in the courtroom with your lawyer talking over us going, let them think it's just an act. Let them think it's just an act so I don't lose custody of my children. But the thing about Alex Jones is, and what scares me is he's tricked his followers. He could literally rob a bank. You could see him rob the goddamn bank. Okay, but because he has this following where whenever something that he does is ridiculous, he could always say, "Oh, it's the elites trying to make me look bad. It's the Illuminati trying to make me look bad. It's the Bilderbergs trying to make me look bad. It's the New World Order." If he robbed a bank, he could say, "The New World Order. Oh, they went into my mind and they brainwashed me into doing it, folks. This is real here, And so anything he does, he could always say that it's not his fault.
Yep.
And that's scary because once you take away objectivity, he's almost like a journalistic dictator.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I mean, this is this infotainment category that gets really sketchy because it's essentially an unregulated part of the media, right? It's part entertainment. It's opinion broadcasting. It's not news that is required to be factual. It's opinion, which is he can say anything he wants. And, character or not. Like, the thing to me is he did it with his kids there. Like,
but beyond that, okay, whatever with the kids, and that makes me sad. He has 3 kids. They're 14, 12, and 9, which there's some of the shit that he says. They're turning the frogs gay, which you can't say. He didn't say it. They're turning the frogs gay.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with Pizzagate, he admitted, you could tell it was a lawyer that told him to say it, though. He had to admit that he was wrong. Yeah. So the thing that scares me, Alex, you're fucking full of shit. You're using this defense in court to cover your ass to keep your kids. Mm-hmm. Don't make it like people are attacking you. This is something you're doing with your lawyer to save your children, so you could see your kids. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, too, Alex, if this is really just an act that you're putting on, which I could have told you that from goddamn years ago. Anyone with a brain could see that it is. I mean, come on, okay? Look at he had people believing. The guy with Pizzagate who went into one of a pizza place, I forgot which one it was, with a gun looking to see if there were kids as sex slaves in the back or whatever the case may be. I saw it on Alex Jones. Alex Jones had to come out and apologize and say Pizzagate was misinformation. And when I saw the video, you saw the goddamn video, you could tell like a lawyer had a metaphorical gun to the back of his head.
Yeah.
You have to apologize, Alex. This is the thing. So, Alex, if you are infotainment, he has the power now to sway the political landscape. I know. I'm sorry, Leon. I'm going on a tangent right now, but this guy drives.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, he was pretty influential in the last U.S. election. I'm always amazed that anybody listens to Alex Jones. I think it's fine to watch him, spin like a top for entertainment purposes, but he is influential. And part of that is the passion of this character that I think he does probably overstate things for effect. I think that's true, but this is a question of, who is best equipped to care for 3 children, one of which is 9. Does it even really matter if that's a character or not? I mean, if a porn star was performing in front of their kids, I don't think they'd particularly care that they were playing a character for Anal Gangbang 4. Kids shouldn't be around.
And this is why they may use it because, if you're... Yeah. If you have a porn star resting his nuts on a woman's head and the kids are there, he shouldn't be doing that. But you could also say too, Al Pacino, puts on characters, and you can't say you take away his children because he does characters. Mm-hmm. Maybe if he did, all right, he's not doing them at home, but still, maybe he practices his lines at home.
Yeah.
Granted, Al Pacino's like 600 years old, so I don't think he has children anymore that age, but you get my point. Yeah. But what I'm more scared of, because I think Alex is capable probably of taking care of his kids. I'm sure that whatever went on behind the scenes between him and his wife. What it scares me about this is he's basically admitting that he's a con to save his own ass. And what scares me even more is that because his followers blindly follow everything he says, he's going to make. He already did. I predicted when I first heard about this article, when I first heard about this news, I should say, I was like, mark my words, he's going to come out with a video that he's totally going to debunk it, even though it's not really debunked. Okay. And people are going to be like, wow, yeah, I believe you, Alex. You know what? You're right. It's the mainstream media. It's the New World Order trying to take you down. But it's not the New World Order trying to take him down. I don't mean to make your ear blow off. It's not. It's him trying to keep his kids. He's working this deal out with his lawyer to try to make it happen. Yeah. And he's going to flip it now on his stupid fucking show to make it like, oh, no, it's them doing it to me, even though I'm doing it to try to keep custody of my kids. If you guys after this, who people, I know there's devout followers of him that watch my stuff. If you still believe that he is legit, if you still believe he's legit after he admitted that his information about Pizzagate was wrong, and so many other things that he was wrong about, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know. I mean, this guy has such political sway right now.
Yeah.
That he is a big part of the reason Trump got elected. He's a big part of the reason he got elected.
I don't think he has the power to make people believe things. He can make people distrust the systems with uncanny power. This whole anti-establishment, anti-elite sentiment, he feeds right into that populist rhetoric. And it's a little scary, especially since we've got some distance from it up here in Canada. We kind of look at it and go, it's one thing to say, how does anybody believe that up here? But it's different circumstances in certain places. There's real economic hardship going on. And I think it's quite tempting to believe that there's some New World Order shadow government pulling the strings for everything. It's not your fault you're poor and helpless. The system doesn't want you to be anything but. And this is a bold move, this defense.
It is a bold move, but he knows, I'm telling you, he knows because of how gullible, I'm sorry to say it, I know people are going to get pissed off at me, how gullible his audience is, he could do it. He's like, I want to keep my kids. I'll make a bullshit excuse video, which I predicted he would do, and he did. And it's going to work. He'll get to keep his kids. Well, we'll see. But there's a good chance to get to keep his kids. He'll put the wool over his audience's eyes, and they'll still believe every word that comes out of his mouth. The amazing thing about Alex Jones, though, and I've known about Alex Jones for a long time. And then there was a time where people were like, man, he's such a fool. He is such a conspiracy theorist, bullshit artist. And he couldn't get into as many homes as he wanted to because he was just too ridiculous. I remember there was a video around him going around, or he was on his radio show in 1999. It was going to 1999 and 2000, where Alex Jones was trying to scare people saying, oh, nuclear power plants are melting down due to Y2K. Vladimir Putin, oh, he's becoming, the PM of Russia. You see like this red aura around him. It's really crazy. Go look it up on YouTube. You can hear about that New Year's Eve Alex Jones radio show that he had. It was really like, he was just bullshitting. He was just making up shit. And everyone was just always thought of him as a fool. But all of a sudden, due to how heavy the corruption is in the U.S. government, it was kind of like this resentment was building. And then people started listening to Alex Jones like, oh, man, maybe this guy does know what he's talking about, which I knew he was nuts for a long time. I used to actually buy into some of his shit before I realized that he was outright just straight up insane.
Oh, wow. OK.
Long time. I'm talking like 9 years ago, though. OK. My friend Sean put me onto him because there has been. Here's the thing about Alex Jones. I don't know how much of you he ever watched in the past.
Enough.
He puts in nuggets of truth.
Yeah.
To catch you. Like, oh, man, he was right about that. He was right about that. He was right about that. Granted, those are three things out of 3,000, but you're like, maybe, okay, he's digging up all this information. A lot of it may be wrong, but he's trying to find out the truth. What you realize is, and luckily I have enough of a brain to realize it, is that he's doing those nuggets were to bring you in and to try to keep you there. Yeah. So he can kind of brainwash you into just believing everything that he says. Yeah. Luckily, I was smart enough not to fall for it. But there's a lot of people that are gullible enough to believe it. And it scares the shit out of me that he could just bullshit his way and make excuses for everything and people just buy it, man. Please I'm not telling you who to go listen to someone else. Just be objective and look into all the news and take 3 minutes to research it instead of just believing everything anybody says, including me and Liana and whoever else at face value. Look into it yourself. Don't believe these clowns who just want you to just believe anything they spew out. They want you to just eat up.
Yeah, I mean, there's the phenomenon of blue lies with Alex Jones as well. Are you aware of this concept of blue lies? The idea of lies. They're not a white lie in that they're selfish, but they benefit a collective in some way. And Alex Jones certainly falls into that in this partisan, hyper-partisan environment and the super turbocharged identity politics that we have in this day and age, people are inclined to sort of, okay, he's probably lying, but just because it makes them feel better about not being an elite or buys into that sense of us, and that it strengthens some sort of social bond over the internet in some group in a way that I think we're going to be untangling what the current media climate where nobody trusts anybody reporting on fact-based anything anymore because there have been so many mistakes and outright deceptions. Lies. Yeah. And that really bothers me, as somebody who's done a bunch of different kinds of journalism. There is no such thing as a blue lie when you're a journalist. It is either a lie or it is true. There's mistakes, but those are done unknowingly.
Yeah, which I've made plenty of mistakes. They weren't done on purpose, but I've made plenty of mistakes.
No.
Well, the problem is now, I'm sorry to mean to cut you off.
It's just there's too many people who do outright lie. They call it spin, but it's a lie. You are making somebody look worse than you have to because, and I mean, it's driving me crazy now because I see people doing it to Trump. Fareed Zakaria has labeled it Trump derangement syndrome, that people on the left want to hate him so bad. They have to make everything he does into the most evil thing in the world, even when it's not.
What about with the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, which I'm so glad he signed the executive order to kill that off?
Yeah.
people on the left, because this is the thing. This is what I hate about partisan politics. It makes me want to bang my head in it until my brain pops out of my skull. Partisan politics is, I am a Democrat, I am a progressive, so even if something on the conservative side makes sense, I'm still going to hate it because I have to stay in my party lines. Yeah. That's what happened when he signed the executive order to kill the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, which had tons of things with pharmaceuticals and the internet that would have been disastrous. It was a good thing that he signed it. But because it was Trump, it was a Republican that did it. Democrats, which they were against TPP or pretended to be. Oh, my God, he signed it. No. If Trump doesn't like TPP, that means we should like it. No, you simple-minded fucking fools. He does stop making everything that Trump does into something horrible. There's plenty of shit I don't agree with him on. Don't get me wrong. But I look at it on a case-by-case basis. I don't go, I just hate Trump. So anything he does, I can't stand. That's stupid. That makes you look like a fool.
Well, even worse, Bernie Sanders was against TPP either. And they were all, oh, yes, he's right. Yes, Bernie, you're 100% right. And then he says
because it was Bernie.
He says some egregiously stupid things. Bernie Sanders is possibly more ignorant on foreign policy even than Trump. But certain people on the left just swallow what he says whole cloth because he's their guy. He is a true progressive, he's a democratic socialist. And so they all just fly the flag. They become uncritical. They become unquestioning. And, the internet is obsessed with criticism, but it's completely forgotten critical thinking. Yes. And this really bothers me because part of our jobs is to be excited enough about, this piece of tech or about this game to connect with our audience, but at the same time, stay objective enough to go, but wait, and not enough people do that because they feel they have to be total 100% critic. Or they have to be total 100% fly the flag fanboy, kiss the company's ass so they'll give them free shit.
Yes, it's so true. Speaking of which, this is a segue, and it's something I even tell you we're going to bring up. Let me see if I have it here. Hold on.
Sweet.
I like the Switch a lot. Oh, look, it's already on.
There it is.
Okay,
hi, Switch.
There it is. I have a really big beef with you right now, Nintendo. My Switch is flaccid. That sounds a lot worse than it. Now, I have two Switches. Okay. Look what the kickstand does. It doesn't lock anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's going to get snagged in things and transport and things like that.
Yep. I have another one and it's not that this is defective. It's not the actual clasp on the back here. Okay. The other one upstairs I have in my living room does the same thing. Now I figured out because these are easy to pop off. They don't break them. You can just go boom, pops off. You're not damaging your Switch if you get the kickstand to pop off. Now the one kickstand that works, put it on here, works perfectly. Put on the other one, works perfectly. So I'm thinking, now you go to Nintendo's website, you could order a brand new kick. The fact that they already have them available and cheap makes me know that's a bad sign. You order two of them just for the hell of them. Like, okay, maybe one is defective. I'll get there $4 each. What was me? It's not going to break the bank. Both kickstands that I got today are both defective.
Oh, you're kidding. The replacement ones.
The replacement ones are both defective. What are you doing, Nintendo? This is one of the biggest features. Oh, look, it's tabled. No, it does. No, in the kickstand's defense, it does work. It snaps out. It holds the system up. It's fine. But really, I have 4 different kickstands now, and none of them actually lock in place, and they're all just sitting there, just like flopping around as I'm using it.
That was like the nunchuck accessory on the Wii tended to be defective with an alarming rate, though you had to plug them in and out a few times to get them to hook up with that whatever the waggle stick or whatever they called it. It was the one that you held in this hand and you had the
nunchuck.
Little,
the nunchuck.
Yeah, the nunchuck. I have like 6 of them to have 4 that work. This is Nintendo.
Wow. Yeah, I never had an issue with that. See?
Yeah.
See, what pisses me off, too, I've gotten lucky with my Switches. Not one that I haven't used that much, so maybe there is an issue that I don't see yet. But my other Switch, everyone's like, oh, the Joy-Cons disconnect. Mine don't have that issue. Oh, I have dead pixels. Mine don't have the issue. Oh, now I haven't played mine for like 10 hours straight, but mine, if I keep it in the dock, it starts to look like a boomerang. Yeah. I haven't had that issue. But that's just annoying because that could become a problem. What happens if you put it down this way, it just pops off, you could snap it right back in. It was designed that way. Fine, that was a smart move. But what happens if I catch it in the wrong way and it kind of breaks the back where it snaps in? Which can happen if you go like maybe horizontal and it bangs into a table because it's out a little bit, that could break it, and then that kickstand is no more. Which it wouldn't be a system destroyer, fine, but still, and that's the reason I brought that up, and it was a nice segue, is that I've been very, very pro Switch because I really like the hardware as a whole. It kind of surprised me because I was a big naysayer of the Switch. But that to me, like, that's just a cheap oversight, man. That's just a terrible, terrible, terrible. Here's a picture that you're showing guys at a basketball court, all hot and sweaty, which that disturbs me and confuses me. And they're like, hey, let's stop playing basketball to play basketball on our Switches with that feature, and you have like something that's like the thickness of dental floss, and then now again, which I'll still defend against that CNET video. Do you ever see that CNET video where they're like, oh, the kickstand's terrible, and they're like this, like purposely making it like flop over, like trying really hard to make the kickstand like make the system fall over? That was extreme. The kickstand does hold up the system. How much movement is the system going to do when you have the kickstand out? Like, you're going to put it out, you're going to pull the Joy-Cons off, and you're done. See that, relax. But that thing is thin. It's cheap. What they should have done with it is they should have had, this Microsoft Surface tablets where it has like the whole kickstand that pops out, the whole back fits a kickstand. Yeah, it would have cost a little bit more money, Nintendo, but that would have been the right way to go.
Welcome to modern gaming, though. I mean, everything's cost. Everything is cost minimization, and everybody's having to cheap out on something nowadays.
Which, to a degree, has always been that way. But if you think about it, do you realize the Famicom from Japan, which was obviously out way before the NES was small?
Yep, it was.
Back in the day, things in the 80s had to be big. So they actually made the NES like much bigger than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to look like one of those newfangled VCRs. Now it's like, all right, let's make it small. Let's make it cheap as shit. Oh, we'll shoehorn it through Foxconn and they could figure out the issues. And, here it is. Now, again, I've had pretty good luck with both of my Switches. Again, I haven't used that one that much. Maybe it does have issues right now. It doesn't seem like it does. But that to me is like that's one of the biggest things they pushed was the kickstand. And you give me something that looks like, it's from a dollar store to hold it up. It really does. It feels like it's like you got a toy from a dollar store, and that's what they got the kickstand from. So that's my point. Even though it kind of ties into what we were talking about before, even though I like the Switch a lot, I will still call it, even if I like something, I'll call it out.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do, guys. Whether it's gaming or politics, don't kiss anyone or any product's ass because you feel like you have to. I'm done.
Yeah. Even though you have
Drops
to.
Mike.
Yeah, even though you do. Even though you have to. There are consequences to not kissing ass all the time. But you owe it to your audience they have to be able to trust you.
Because your audience smells it too.
Of course. Of course.
I get, even when you are just being objective, like I said, I changed my tune about the Switch. It seems a lot more promising. I was playing Mr. Shifty on it today, and they were saying there were frame rate issues with it. I saw it in a couple spots. I thought it ran pretty good. I enjoy the Switch, but I'm going to call it out for shit. You have to, man. You can't, because no company will ever improve if you're just sitting there blindly kissing their ass. I think that's part of the reason why Nintendo's had some problems throughout the years is because people are like, how dare you say something bad about Nintendo?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's true. You're either a Nintendo fanboy or you're a Nintendo hater, and there's no in between. There's so much nostalgia attached to that brand. And perhaps this is a segue too to move into the next thing. Because there's so much nostalgia with that brand that it is motherhood for some people. I'm like that with Pac-Man. Now there's less complexity with Pac-Man. It's hard to find something wrong with Pac-Man, though the extended brand on that franchise, they fucked it up. They did.
Oh my God, they terribly,
trying to make it 3D and all this bullshit. Like, no, they need to do like augmented reality Pac-Man where you can turn any environment into a Pac-Man level. That's how to next gen Pac-Man.
Yes.
That is it. Don't fuck with, early gaming perfection in that regard. Just find a way to take the exact same thing and make it cool. Don't screw with it. Like, those, like, it's when they tried to make The Simpsons 3D. It was kind of creepy. Or when SpongeBob is 3D, it doesn't look quite right. It loses that charm of the original glory that was, as I called it when I was 3, Bucka Bucka.
Bucka, you called it Bucka Bucka.
That was the game. That was the game that made me a gamer, man. I was obsessed with Pac-Man, but it was only 3, so I was like, Bucka Bucka. That was to get my mom to hold me up to the stand-up coin-op. I love the little tabletop ones because I could do it myself.
That's Liana's new nickname, Bucka Bucka.
Bucka Bucka. Yeah, and I mean, that's why I have Pac-Man stuff. Oh, I moved it because I needed it for another shot, but Pac-Man is the game. And I mean, I remember Space Invaders, but Space Invaders didn't have the same, kick you in the feels that Pac-Man did. The other coin-op game that I was obsessed with was Wizard of War. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yes, I know Wizard of War.
I used to play that game so long, I would have nightmares about it because that do-do-do-do-do.
And the voices it had in it too.
Yeah,
So those early 80s like synthesized voices where it wasn't actual audio that was synthesized. Yeah. It was so weird. Yeah. It had the laugh too. It was like
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And
so creepy.
I didn't have an experience like that with a game until the Mortal Kombat coin-ops. I mean, it was those. I remember the first time I saw that Mortal Kombat machine because the graphics were so cool by those standards and that dun 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 dun, that kung fu music that was coming out of it. And it was like 2 big hands came out and grabbed me and pulled me in to play this game. I don't think people have those experiences in the same way anymore. I'm sure there's different experiences now, but those, experiences of being out and a game just grabbing you and not letting you go. That was the arcade era.
Well, we grew up because I think you're around my age. We grew up in a time where every leap was a huge leap. Yeah. Like when you went from the NES to the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo,
oh my God, 16 colors. Yeah.
It was like, holy shit. I mean, the graphics on the SNES to this day, I think that thing is a 2D masterpiece. It still isn't made. But when you went, I remember like getting Super Mario World. I mean, I had a Genesis beforehand, and in Genesis, you get 64 colors on the screen. Mm-hmm. It was still a big difference from the NES. But then when you went to the Super Nintendo, it was a huge, in my opinion, felt like a huge leap from the Genesis. So every time there was a new system, it was like, holy shit. Then you went into the PlayStation. That's where it started to level off a little bit. Like you went to the PlayStation and then 64, and then you went to 3D. Oh my God, Super Mario 64. Yeah. And then from there, kind of, then you got the PS2, which was, all right, better 3D. And then from there, it was just, so now I think kids, it's like, okay, now it's 4K. Whereas they don't have those mind-blowing moments anymore.
Kids are going back, though, to there must be something about those blocky graphics, because what are the things that everybody loses their shit over now? Minecraft and Undertale. Like, it's the same kind of square look. There's something about the simplicity, I swear, that just Flappy Bird was not especially, Angry Birds was not especially complex. There's something about simple concepts.
Shovel Knight.
Yeah. Shovel Knight's another one.
Shovel Knight's a badass game, though. Shovel Knight is awesome. Or was that one, Dive Kick?
You have 2 moves. You can dive or you can kick. That's it.
I had never heard of that one, but Shovel Knight is my shit, man. I love Shovel Knight.
Yeah, that's just, there's so many clever little design things about that, but it's easier to see that, and they have more ability to just make it really cool when there is a simplicity. When this game is super big, I call it the silly putty effect. You know silly putty? That stuff that you play with as a kid? I don't know if people do it anymore. But
I think they still do.
Yeah, but you take it and you stick it on a piece of newsprint, and it brings the image, and then you can like warp it and twist it. The problem with these massive games now is when you start stretching that core idea, that core image, you can only go so far before you get, a decent amount of thickness around the edges, but then the inside is just all, thin and there's holes in it and everything like that. And that's what happens to these massive games that have like 100 people working on it at once through a Frostbite engine or something. There's no cohesion to the vision of this game, either artistically or from a gameplay perspective. It's just this collection of ideas that were all jumbled together, and there's no whole in it. There's no, why does this make sense in this game?
And the problem is that I think, developers feel pressured, AAA anyway, I should say, feel pressured to give this huge experience because that's what people expect. Yeah. But the problem is when you put all that filler in, the core idea of the gameplay sometimes gets lost under that filler.
Agreed.
And that's why, and I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing an emergence of the indie scene, because people are like, man, I'm so tired of these softcore porn dialogues that go on for 3 hours. I just want to play the goddamn game. I don't have 37 hours to deal with this shit. I just want to play a game. And that's why I think we're starting to see that, why we're seeing this big resurgence ever since I would say almost like 2009, maybe even a little earlier, where indie games are starting to blow up because they have that quality core gameplay that people just want to pick up the controller and get into and not have to hear about some story that they don't give a flying shit about.
And sometimes I love that story, but it's not going to be a story for the sake of story. Yeah, it's got to make sense. I agree. I think it's also the availability. I mean, Steam really opened up a new world in terms of indie games. And then, the Xbox stuff and PlayStation, they have their own stores. And that really, you can go right from that, get on these platforms and deliver right to the consumer. You don't need a publisher. And I think that's so good because every time you hear a game just crashed and burned, it usually wasn't developers wanting to make a shitty game. It was artificial limitations put on them by the publisher. And I get economic decisions. I get that. But it's still hard to not be disappointed on a human level when some of these things that had a great deal of potential just
get shot to shit.
Yeah, they just didn't really get a chance to be good. And do you want to talk about NES Classic now, since we seem to kind of be in that vein?
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot that we want to talk about that. Yes.
Yeah.
The NES Classic, I actually did a video on this too, but I want to flesh it out more here, is discontinued. Okay. I'm going to I believe this is the same article I had up before. They're going to get their last shipments out in April, and then Nintendo, I guess, doesn't like making money, so they're going to discontinue it. Okay.
I have a different theory, but keep going.
I have a feeling we're going to still agree, though, because I've had multiple reasons why I think why. But I'll read what the spokesperson from Nintendo of America said, and then we'll go from there. Throughout April, North America territories will receive the last shipments of Nintendo Entertainment System NES Classic Edition systems for this year. We encourage anyone interested in obtaining the system to check with retail outlets regarding availability. I literally just tripped across one. I just got very lucky.
Oh, cool.
Haven't opened it, though. Now I may not open it just to keep it as part of history. I'm not going to sell it. That's for shit sure. We understand that it has been difficult for many consumers to find a system because your Nintendo does what you always do. And for that, we apologize. No, you don't. We have paid close attention to consumer feedback, and we greatly appreciate the incredible level of consumer interest and support for this product. Now, why do you think they're doing it? I'll see if I agree with you or disagree with you.
Well, Nintendo has done very, very well limiting numbers of amiibo to create buying frenzies. They sell out and they're gone, and people know that, so they don't wait to buy the amiibo. They go out and buy them. I think there's some of that going on. I think they also don't want, first of all, to compete with the Switch. They want to get people moving over to the Switch. Yep. Yeah. But the other thing is, they might be taking a lesson from Fitbit, and I may be a little premature on this one, but GoPro, where you hit market saturation with these devices where just everyone who wants one has one, and they don't feel the need to buy another one. There's no new and improved model that they can ship out here, so it's something of a dead end. And Nintendo may be taking a lesson from that and not wanting this product sitting on store shelves. So They cut it off. They focus entirely on the Switch. And now it's a big special thing instead of a thing that just petered out.
But they sound like they're never bringing it back, though. That's my thing. I
read too many comic books to believe anything's truly dead.
Because here's what I'm hearing, too, that they're coming out with an SNES Classic this next holiday season.
Well, that makes sense, right? The nostalgia thing. But they got to give the Switch time.
I think you're right about part of it is that they want people getting the Switch and playing the classics on there for some reason, whatever. Virtual console. I totally almost lost my mind. I lost track of what I was going to say. My thing is, okay, I could see if they kept it out for a year. All right, fine, you gave it a year. If it was tough to get, if someone really hustled, they could get one. But I don't think it would have actually went after Switch sales in terms of, say, like someone just wanted it for classic games. I don't think they would go after an NES Classic. The NES Classic, like I said, I've actually had personal friends who don't even game anymore who wanted it just because it looked like an NES.
Yeah.
And it had the old games they played as a kid.
Yeah.
They are never going to get a Switch, Nintendo. They're never going to get one. Reggie could come over to their house, covered in peanut butter with a Switch in his hands.
I want to see that.
Yes. Wearing nothing but peanut butter. The peanut butter is his clothing.
Crunchy or smooth? I need it for the mental image.
Crunchy, because you want the texture.
Crunchy. Okay.
You want the texture. They're never going to get a Switch. So if you did it because you want to steer them into the Switch direction, it's not going to happen. Now, I kind of do agree with you to a point that, all right, maybe they're doing it because they want to build demand, but it'll be interesting. Like maybe they'll come out with the SNES and never come out with the NES Classic again. I think they got rid of it prematurely. Maybe I'll agree with you to the point where, okay, if they kept it around a year, that would have been long enough where it would have rotted on shelves, but there would have been enough that people who really wanted one got one. But only a couple or a few months. When did they bring it out? November of 2016? That's just too premature.
But the thing is, there's also the parents are stupid quotient. How many parents were, if they're side by side, because there's only one section, right? There's only one Nintendo section. How many, well, this is cheaper. It's the same thing, right? And people think, who could screw that up? But parents who don't give a flaming fuck about games, they can screw that up. And it's like, well, this is Nintendo. And then you've got a disappointed kid. And then it's just a bad experience all around, but also shelf space. If they've got this console, and I mean, they can't keep the Switch in stock, but maybe they're finding it's just starting to slow down now. It's not that, oh my God, get it before it's gone.
That thing. I could be on board with. Okay.
If the NES Classic at $60 is selling like hotcakes, Walmart is going to front that because just keep churning them out.
Yeah, of
the
course.
Switch gets backburnered. It's a higher price point. It's selling slower. So it's not getting the emphasis because they're basically competing against itself with a much lower price point item.
So maybe what you're thinking, even that maybe if they get rid of the Classic, it'll keep the momentum of the sales momentum of the Switch going. Yeah. I mean, I still hold to the fact I think they're two totally different products for two totally different markets. But I guess at the same time, maybe they're hoping, maybe internally at Nintendo, even though I may not agree with them, they may be like, yeah, we get rid of the Classic, it'll keep the momentum of the Switch going. I think that actually probably is the reason they did it. But I just feel, and I know from personal experience, that people who wanted a Classic wanted it because it was the cute little NES that they wanted under their TV. And they'll probably play the games in there for 5 minutes and they just want it on their TV because it's cute. So I don't know. I just feel like Nintendo, I could understand that point if they gave it like a year. I just feel like Nintendo that thing was printing money for them. If they kept it out a little longer, it would have.
The Switch is so small that they could actually create shells for it that look like an NES Classic with a controller plug-in that just clicks into the side and all the software. Like they can basically start Switch cosplay and probably charge $60 as well, but make a lot more money because you don't need working electronics. Like you don't need that Linux box inside it. Maybe that's an idea as well. I mean, I'd dress my Switch up like the Mario Frog, or I'd put the little.
You're an enthusiast, though.
True.
A lot of people who were looking for the Classic, like my friend, I always think of him, Nick. He isn't as big of an enthusiast. He just wanted it because it looked like an NES. He would have played the games maybe with his kids for 10 minutes and then just would have kept it. There's a different demographic that I know is out there. But that's
competing with their mobile division. The like Mario Run or whatever, they're downloadable games they actually want people to pay for as well. I mean, we still don't know what they're planning long term with that mobile partnership agreement. It could have something to do with that as well. One reason or another,
there's something that they're thinking of. The reason, because no other company, there had to be something that they thought of, like, man, we should stop selling the NES Classic, because no company usually stops selling something that they can't keep in stores. So there had to be some reason. And I think you're right with the point where even though I may not completely agree with it, they were thinking we want to keep the Switch momentum going and maybe there's no saying it's a good idea. I just think that might be why they're doing it. I mean, it's just like when Xbox, Microsoft is notorious for discontinuing things to force you to buy the more expensive upgrade or not making games on the much more popular system anymore. I mean, I think they just abandoned the 360 a little too soon. Because I don't agree with that at all. I think they took too long. Yeah,
really.
They had the 360. The 360 dropped in 2005.
Yeah.
Do you realize that Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, what was that, released in 2015? They came out with that game that is a decade into the life of the 360. It was still getting AAA games.
Yeah, but the PS3 was as well, and they went a lot longer with that one than they did. And there were a lot more PS4s in people's homes. The only thing it hurt was the exclusive titles that they distributed, because yes, the enthusiasts want their souped up graphics, but as we talked about previously, these so-called next-gen consoles really didn't deliver on that in the way that some people were hoping that they would. And so all that got hurt was the marquee franchises like Halo, like Gears of War to a lesser extent. These are not the household talking points that they used to be. And that's just because people don't have an Xbox One.
I think, the PS3 released in 2006. So it had it was actually a little bit less time that it was out.
Yeah, it was a year behind.
Yeah, it came out a year later. I think, if anything, what happened was, due to that big collapse we had in at least the States economy, I think that the PS3 and 360 overstayed their welcome. Usually console generations, at least as the main console, is only usually how it used to be was 5 years.
Yep.
The 360 and PS3 from 2005 to 2013, that's 8 years. 8-year-old hardware was the main front and center hardware.
They aim for an 8-year life cycle with an overlap. Sony pushes to 10. So
Sony pushes to 10 though, but like after 5 years, and then they release a new system, 5 or 6 years, I should say, they it kind of becomes like their Disney and soccer game console, like the PS2.
You are right, though, that it was the economy. It was the American economy, and the fact that the Japanese were still dealing with an economic recession as well. They had very modest expectations for the PS4 when it launched. They were caught off guard by demand. They did not expect it to do. That's why there weren't very many great games out for it. We're just starting to get the great new IPs for these systems.
I really think, what catapulted the PS4 was Microsoft's epic fuck up of how they launched announced the Xbox One.
I think so. The
whole thing with how they were going to do used games, where you had to register the games, and it was.
Remember that video where how do you share a PS4 game? Yeah,
he hands him the game, and that's it. Microsoft just handed them the 8th generation.
It was funny though, because to be there and to see it, you would have sworn that Microsoft hit it out of the park coming out of the Galen Center that morning. And I was like, I don't think they got it. I think it's Sony's game to win now. And then everybody did their write-ups about how great their, the Xbox One was and all that stuff, because they'd kind of tamped down on that 24-hour check-in, all that stuff. But then when Sony did that presentation, it was a very mixed response. The enthusiasts, and it's amazing how few games press are actually enthusiasts. That still shocks me. But the enthusiasts were coming out of that press conference going, Microsoft's dead. They're dead. They missed it. They flubbed. Unforced error, and Sony capitalized on it. The minute you saw that Call of Duty trailer open up the Sony press conference instead of the Xbox One, you knew what the story was. But a lot of games press aren't enthusiasts. And so they were all the reasons why Microsoft was better. And they talked about the games, and it was like, yeah, but these games are all on both systems. There's just this timed content exclusive on the Xbox One. People don't buy for that reason. People buy the system they think their friends are going to buy so they can play with them. And that system was PS4. And then price. They beat them on price as well.
Oh my God, by $100 just because that stupid ass Kinect that no one wanted. Then he had Don Matrick when the Xbox One was revealed. He looked the overpaid used car salesman who was he was all about like, oh, TV and this and that and this. He was just nailing all of the wrong talking points. I remember watching it. I'm just sitting there like face palming, like, dude, you're digging a grave for the Xbox One.
See, I think a lot of Microsoft spokespeople are starting to feel like middle-aged used car salesmen. Even Major Nelson, as much as, he's so motherhood. Is he really the voice of Xbox gaming now? I mean, is that who you want doing your pregame show?
I think it's Spencer. I think Spencer is the unofficial voice of Xbox now, because people, I like him. I think, I'm sure he's made mistakes, but I think he's genuinely enthused about gaming. I think he really believes in the Xbox brand, and I think he does want to see it succeed, where no one thought that about Don Matrick.
No.
And a lot of people just think that Major Nelson's creepy. Like, he's just, I don't know.
I thought it was just me. I'm a little out of touch with that kind of stuff, but I actually...
He looks like the kind of guy, which this is going to be mean to say, that it'll be like checking out your 14-year-old daughter when you're not looking.
And that was sort of what I said when he was doing this pregame show, not especially well. I leaned over to somebody and I just said, no woman in this business can come across like that and have this profile. And you see them get very uncomfortable, but not be able to disagree. And those are the kind of moments where your brand needs a refresh. You've got to go back to basics and actually start talking to your consumers and realize what they want. And I'm not saying, turf out your old guard. I always think that's a mistake. But find a way to keep it fresh so the people that are still on board with that have something, but give everybody else something to call their own as well, because it's a different world. People just aren't identifying with that sort of, guy who looks like he might be creeping on your daughter. That's something we tolerated back in the day because there's nothing else. Now we have choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you agree with that, because I felt like I was out in the cold on that one.
No, you aren't out in the cold on that one. I don't think, I don't know Major Nelson. He could be the nicest guy.
He's a very nice guy.
I'm not judging him as a person. I'm just saying the persona that comes across. I feel like my English teacher, who probably is hitting on the high school students. Yeah. Is the guy who's doing these presentations. It just doesn't fit. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very different field than, Aisha Tyler, who's on more TV shows than I can keep track of now. She's on 3 different shows, because she's on Archer, she's on Criminal Minds, and she's on one of those daytime talk shows as well. The woman is everywhere. And then she gets out there and she's high energy and she's funny and she's beautiful and she talks about girlwood and she's hyping it. And then the fucking weird Just Dance mascots get out there and everything gets weird. And then some major performer comes out and performs and everybody's really excited, and then they get into the games, and that's an Ubisoft conference. That feels like somebody who's at a trade show to hustle, and that's what I want. Tell me why I should give you my money. And if you're phoning it in, if you don't believe, I don't believe.
One thing I got to say, though, is that Microsoft has almost done a complete 180 from when they launched the Xbox One. I think a lot of it, like I said, has to do with Phil Spencer's leadership. They've become more about the games. Yes, now Microsoft, for some reason, is going on some other shit again where they don't have, as many exclusives as I think they should. But they became more game scalebound, dropping scalebound. I think they should have.
Huge mistake.
Even if they lost money on it, just for the gesture.
Yeah.
Even if they broke even or even lost a few, they're Microsoft. They can lose a few fucking dollars.
Yeah.
They should have kept with that game because it would have showed the gaming community, hey, look, we got your back. We know you want this game, even if it takes till the end of the life of the Xbox One or Scorpio, whatever the hell is going to happen now. We're with you. We know you want it. Here, we took an L for you. But
well, they also have to stop pushing out games before they're ready. Too many of these games are just not ready. They're, they could be awesome if they had a bit more resources put into them. As is, they're mediocre to unplayable on the exclusive side. Halo 5 should not have dropped their couch co-op. Huge mistake.
Oh my God, that was such a huge mistake. I would have loved to play that with my brother. I remember I was pissed off when they announced that, yes.
Well, I haven't played Halo 5 precisely because that's a game I play with my husband. After Halo 2, I have no investment in that franchise other than the couch co-op. I played Gears of War because I could play with him. Because it's one of those things, it feels like cheating. I'm not going to sit there and play without him. That's one of the games we play together. I have all my stupid uber nerd games that he has no interest in and that I play by myself and, suck 60 hours of time away from him. He watches the Uncharted games and games like that are really pretty, but others he has no interest in. And those are games we could play together. And he only plays games with me. He finds it too complicated to figure out what to do alone. He needs a guide. And so taking that out, I think it was a mistake. And it isn't this big thing anymore. It isn't the franchise we immediately think of when we think video game.
Well, look at the Master Chief Collection. Look how disastrous that was when it first came out. The multiplayer. It was unplayable for how long? The
impossibility of Spartan Ops on Halo 4. Like, no one actually believed that they could accomplish what they were setting out to do with that weekly content stuff. But of course, no one would say the Emperor had no clothes on Halo because that'll get you excommunicated. You will lose your access. Game companies are dicks that way, And of course, they went in they eventually went in these 6-week cycles and then had to back up. They burned out their dev team. It was more than anyone was asking for. It was a great, exciting marketing point. But one of the big things that games journalists don't do well is, can they deliver on this promise? When you see these super awesome out of this world graphics, assume they're going to be downgraded on the console version. Doesn't matter what game it is.
They're going to pull the Watch Dogs with it, yes.
Well, even The Witcher 3 was downgraded from what they showed to what it ended up being on console. That just happens. They get into the optimization phase and go, oops, we can't do this. We'd rather a game that ran. And that is expectations that the games press should be setting for players. But they don't want the screaming and yelling, so they don't. And the problem is, if you cultivate a relationship with your audience that you will tell them the hard truths even when they scream and yell, they start screaming and yelling less because they remember you were right. Yeah. And this is the relationship that services are not building with their audience. They just want to be part of the hype machine so the company will buy ads on their website. It's a horrendous conflict of interest.
Liana, I think you're like a segue psychic because this actually leads into the final topic of the day, because that is true. A lot of times you have journalists and even independent people on YouTube who kiss companies' asses and won't go against the grain because they want access, they want sponsorships, and they want, to basically be financially covered. Which, speaking of which, we're talking about YouTube now. This is the final topic of the day, YouTube demonetization. Now, I just need to be transparent here. Yes, YouTube is, I have other things going on, but YouTube is my primary source of income. I have also been very lucky, minus the week I was away on vacation in Florida, because when you don't upload, you don't make jack shit.
Yeah.
I haven't been hit as hard, nearly as hard as other YouTubers, mainly because I'm a tech channel. I go into politics here and there, and I think I've had 12 videos be demonetized, but I haven't dealt with the YouTube adpocalypse, it's called. Like,
yeah.
Because, I'm not, doing like edgy videos. But
I've been hit by 4. I've gotten pretty good at figuring out the keyword. What's the password? Here's the words you don't use. But yeah, I haven't been hit too bad, but I have been hit, and my video Wednesday, my dialogue options video, which is my long form interview segment, I had to figure out a way to talk about these 2 advocates for testing untested rape kits without using the words sexual assault or rape, because those immediately get flagged.
Such bullshit.
Yeah.
It's such, why? So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. It was who originally released the article. Now, it wasn't the Wall Street Journal.
Well, it was the Wall Street. Well, the PewDiePie thing or the ISIS
PewDiePie,
one?
The ISIS one. Who was that? Was
it the New York Times? It was either NYT or Wall Street Journal.
Well, whatever the case was, there was an article that was run showing that, oh my God, here are these hate videos and these other videos, and there's ads from like Starbucks and Coca-Cola and stuff running on them. Okay. So of course the that first started actually in the UK. It spread to the US, and advertisers are like, oh my God, or one out of every 8 billion fucking videos, we may get a Coca-Cola ad running on a pro-ISIS video, which it's a non-existent problem. Yeah. Okay. It happens like very rarely. Usually it's people who are like hole in the wall, not even real content creators. They steal content and just put up stupid shit, and they just so happen to have an ad running on it. Okay. So everyone freaks the hell out about that, and YouTube including freaked out about that. So their response is to get advertisers to come back, they put in these draconian, even more draconian demonetization things where advertisers can now like kind of pick who they want their ads to be on in terms of like what YouTubers and stuff like that. They have more control over what content their ads can. If they don't care and they want their content to be on offensive videos, they can. They have that option to do that. They're giving them more control. The downside of it is anything that's even remotely controversial, unless you're CNN or MSNBC and you suck the right dick, you get demonetized. As a matter of fact, Dave Rubin, who I'm a big fan of, he actually used to work.
Full disclosure, I have been on his show.
You've been on a show?
I've been on the Rubin Report.
I didn't even fucking know that.
Yeah. It was funny because I thought it was going to be this hard-hitting interview about feminism. All he wanted to talk about was cosplay and movies. It was great. We talked about the Golden Girls. He'd just been like, he'd had one of his days of interview marathon sessions, and he started off saying that, I have just talked about like Islamic fundamentalism. Can we please just talk about movies? And I'm like, I'm good to talk about movies.
That's funny.
He's a great dude.
And I wouldn't swear on my son unless I'm being truthful. I had no idea Liana was on his show. Yeah. I'm just putting it out there. She never mentioned it before, at least as far as I remember. I
haven't on this show. Yeah. So but he's lost, like, he tweeted today, he's lost 60% of his YouTube revenue. Now he's got a booming Patreon, so he'll be okay. Yeah. But that kills me because I think he's doing something. The reason I agreed to do his show partially, like there were some fans of mine pushing for me to be on it. And what I liked about what he did was he just lets people talk. He doesn't hardball them. He doesn't go for the gotcha. And, I'll watch interviews on his show and go, well, that guy's an asshole, the guest. Other people's like, all right, there's a human being there. I can see that. But he's not trying to frame my opinion. So I feel like I'm more able to make up my own mind. That's what I like about what he's doing. But he does have some very controversial people on there.
he has the same political mindset that I do, where he looks at everything from a case by case basis, not from he doesn't toe the party lines and go, oh, because I'm part of the left, I have to disagree with all this, even though it's logical, or vice versa, which I like about him. But what I wanted to bring up, though, is that he was talking about one of his videos being demonetized, and he actually got a response back from Google, which
I saw this,
which I think kind of, I can't tell if it was a live person or they were trying to make it sound like a live person and it was a bot. Either. You know, I don't know. I'll read it to you, though. So Dave writes, hold on one second. Dave writes, got a letter from letter response back from YouTube about demonetizing our video with Confessions XMU. Haven't watched the video yet. I actually want to watch it now after this is done, because I'm curious to see what it was about, to see how controversial it was that they can't run ads on it. Liberalism sure is controversial. Anyway, this is what YouTube wrote. Thank you for writing in. I had a quick look at your channel, and I must say you're doing great. The subscribers you've garnered is just amazing. But we don't want to fucking pay you because we're scared shitless.
That's not what it says, but that's essentially what it says.
Due to the sensitive nature of the content in your video, we've decided that it's not appropriate for advertising at this time. Oh, my God. Okay,
I'm not the only one that felt like that was a big old fuck you in the face.
What? See, the thing that bothers me, what YouTube doesn't get, again, I'm not getting hit by this wave like other websites or other channels are. But YouTube, what you don't get is the reason that YouTube is YouTube, and the reason that it is the giant website. What is it, like the third most visited website?
Yeah.
The reason you're at that point is because people went there for the non-conventional, controversial content that you offered that isn't on TV. Yep. And now what you're doing, and everyone's like, oh, they're not actually really censoring you. They just don't want to put ads in your videos. It's like a passive version of censorship, because
it's creating self-censorship.
Yes.
Because if you're not going to get paid for it, why fucking do it?
And I know people are going to be like, oh, well, you should do it anyway. Listen, man. All right. And I'm going to get heated now. I've been doing YouTube. I did YouTube for free for years. Okay. I tripped into this into becoming a business. Okay. But it's, as much as I'm passionate about it, it is a business, and I have a kid that I have to feed. And I know people are going to make jokes about I have to feed my fat ass as well. Okay. I'm going to have to abide by the rules, and thank God for this podcast that I can still vent about this shit. But yes, on YouTube, I can't bring this stuff up because it's too controversial. What's going to happen is there's going to be this chilling effect where you're not going to get the controversial stuff, which brought people to YouTube from the goddamn beginning. So what's going to happen is people are going to be like, oh, the stuff I used to go to YouTube for, secular talk is gone.
David Packman's getting hit.
Louder with Crowder is gone. And as much as Alex Jones is a fucking freak, I don't want to see him gone. I like seeing him shirtless running around in front of pictures of Hillary Clinton. Okay, like listen, he's there. He's entertaining. If you have a brain to realize that he's totally talking out of his ass, whatever. But what's happening is that this chilling effect, this is how the human nature works. Everyone's like, oh, you should just do it for free if you love it. If everyone just did stuff for free because they loved it, we wouldn't need a financial system in every single part of the world. Okay, people need to be compensated for their work. That's how human nature works.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's going to happen is, and this is probably what they want, these large corporations, because they don't, if they have an agenda or they have something they don't want to take part in, what's going to happen is that people are going to stop talking about this stuff, and YouTube's going to become uber corporate, and then it's going to slowly die out. Like but
the other thing is Facebook video is really nipping at YouTube's heels now. The live show I do with Ed the Sock on Thursday nights, we now stream live to Facebook video and upload pre-taped to YouTube because more people watch on Facebook. People are just farting around on Facebook and, Ed the Sock's on. Bloop! Quadrupled our viewership live the first week. Yeah, it was that extreme. Now we also discovered there's a half-hour threshold to what people will watch live on Facebook. So we've decided to split the show in two, but there is no point in going through all the BS getting Wirecast to stream live to YouTube because they ended their partnership. And so it's a pain in the ass. It's like this 15-step process to do it now. Whereas Facebook video, you go in, you get the code, you go into OBS or whatever you're using, and go plunk, and you're ready to go. It's really, and they are, unfortunately, Facebook only allows monetization for people with over 2,000 likes on their page and 300 concurrent viewers, which I think kind of sucks because then how does someone build? But they're like, that's their system. And
I like that. You know what, though? It kind of beat me to something I was about to talk about.
Yeah.
I like that system. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's something that I think that because this is partially the sponsor's fault. This is partially YouTube's fault. When I applied for my partnership years ago, I'm talking like maybe it started in 2009, late 2009 to 2011. I got denied multiple times. I think at least 4, probably more than that, because YouTube vetted their goddamn partners. They wanted you to have a certain, I guess maybe even a certain kind of content. Kind of don't agree with that as long as it's not hate speech or anything, dangerous. They vetted your content. They wanted to make sure you had a certain amount of views. They wanted to make, and it was tough to get in. And that was a time that gameplay was taboo. Okay.
Yeah, right. So because they were all getting shut down. Yeah.
So I had gameplay on my channel, so I got denied quite a few times. And it was tough to get in. Literally, I got in 2011. I think a year later, all of a sudden, anyone can monetize their videos.
That was the last time. That was the last time they fucked with their monetization model, though, and a bunch of people took the hit then, too.
And I was thinking to myself, one, I'm pissed off because you made me suffer to get my partnership. Yeah. And people had to earn it back then. And secondly, that is the worst idea ever. I understand they probably had some 22-year-old guy, who was like, I just got out of Harvard and I was punching these numbers. And if granted, if everyone has one view on their video, that's not going to make them any money. But if there's 1 million people with one view in their video, that's 1 million views that we could serve ads on. So, oh my God, great idea. Even though I don't have any fucking common sense, it's a great idea. No, it's not. That's a bad idea. Think about it this way. If it was a normal 9-to-5 job, say there was a doctor's office and they were looking to hire someone to work behind the desk, what would you think would happen if they didn't have an interview and a background check and just say anyone could work here? That would be disastrous.
That's a fair point.
And on top of it, too, it would be disastrous. You would get shady elements going there because, I don't have to even have a background check here. I could smoke crack right before I walk in. So then you're going to have these schmucks. You're going to have extremists. You're going to have schmucks. You're going to have people just stealing other people's videos just to make a quick buck because there's no vetting process. And it's going to be the Wild West. And that's part of what bit YouTube in the ass, is because they had allowed anyone. Now they changed it again. Now you have to have at least 10,000 lifetime views, which I hate to say.
Right. It's not that much.
I don't think it's that much. I think it should be 100. I think I had a few 100,000 before I got accepted. I think it should be 100,000 because you could be an asshole who could be the biggest racist piece of shit on the planet and say, I want all XYZ race to die. Not going to name a race because then people will take this and take it out of context and say I'm saying it.
Yeah.
But you could just have one video that trims into 10,000 views, and then you could be the biggest, most racist piece of shit on the planet. Yeah. It's still a step in the right direction. I honestly think you should have like at least 1,000 subscribers and 100,000 views. Yeah. I know people are going to see this podcast and be like, "Oh, Rich is such an asshole. He's an elitist. He doesn't want to see anyone make it." No, it's not that. I don't want to see shady scumbags making my living not look credible.
Well, it's also, you're not making a huge amount of money on YouTube at that benchmark anyway. It's pennies.
Literal pennies.
Yeah. You're not talking about,
Liana's 100% right. 10,000 views. I don't even know if you could buy a goddamn Subway sandwich with that.
You could.
So what? Everyone's like, oh, YouTube wants to hold me down. Hold you down from what? A fucking coffee at Starbucks? Earn your shit. I had to earn. I worked for years. The only thing I got once in a while, I I actually work for that guy with the glasses. I don't know if you know who they are. I actually worked at Blistered Thumbs. I had videos on Blip. For a little while, I got money through that. But generally, until 2011, I wasn't a partner. And even after I was a partner on YouTube, I was making barely anything until 2013.
Yeah.
Until 2013. So stop crying. Oh, boo-hoo, 10,000 views. One, I think that threshold's too low. And even if at 100,000 views, you're not making that much.
No.
100,000 lifetime views. You're not buying a Ferrari. Calm down. If you truly love making videos and you want to do this, just do it and you'll get to that number and then you can get the monetization. Stop crying over something that's so stupid.
Especially since you're talking about pennies. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned Starbucks because that's my unit of what something's worth to me. A Starbucks coffee is about $5. So I'm like, okay, this video game is worth 8 Starbucks. Okay, I'll buy it. Because
I'm a Starbucks crackhead, man.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I have one right down my road. If I'm working like tonight, I'm probably gonna be working late. I'm probably gonna need to get one.
Yeah, once I bought my my little coffee machine, I don't go to Starbucks anymore. I make my own.
Oh, I got a Keurig too, but
yeah.
I actually
because I like espresso, like deep roast espresso. I like the stuff that tastes like dirt to most people, and Starbucks is not good for that. Oh, do you? Yeah, that's funny. Man. Oh, so you're getting like the Americanos and things like that?
Yes. I'm getting the espresso shots. I'm not getting their regular coffee.
Yeah.
But
it's so burn though. Get a good machine. Cleaning them's a bitch.
Mine where I'm at doesn't taste burn. It's just strong. I know what burnt coffee tastes like too.
At Starbucks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they've changed their roast though, haven't they? I'm talking Starbucks from back in the day when it was just a delivery mechanism for sugar and caramel.
Yeah.
And this is why we don't have sponsors on this podcast, because we just shit on Starbucks for 3 minutes.
We just shit on we shit on everybody. We're shitting on all sponsors right now talking about YouTube. But we're not even look, here's the thing that, and maybe let's take Starbucks for an example. And this is why I think that sponsors are afraid of indie channels on YouTube. Say Starbucks, the CEO of Starbucks, and this is just an as-if example. This is totally fictional. I'm just giving you an example. Say the CEO of Starbucks has a bunch of shares in Raytheon, which helps develop missiles. Okay. And it's in his best interest, okay, for us to go to war with Syria and North Korea, because then they'll be using the missiles that Raytheon makes, and the stock that he has there will skyrocket. Say I'm on YouTube and I'm talking about this, okay, and I'm anti going to war with Syria and anti going to war with North Korea, and he's like, oh, that is totally against the CEO of Starbucks' interests. He's going to try to pull ads and say, oh, it's too controversial. Well, it's not that it's too controversial. He doesn't like the message I'm putting, and he doesn't want to finance, because on YouTube now, people have more, even people who are sub 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Get more views than shows on like CNN do. So if you're a major corporate and you have a vested interest in something the government's doing or whatever is doing, and you have this YouTube channel who can reach millions of ears and go against your interest, too controversial. And that's, I think, part of the reason why it's happening too. I think it's a perfect storm of.
There's another part to that though.
What is that?
Advertisers want absolute control. I learned this when I tried to do, back in TV, I tried to do a gaming show, and I wanted it to be Switzerland, right? I wanted it to be, we're going to talk about Xbox, we're going to talk about PlayStation, we're going to talk about Nintendo, all that stuff. No one would sponsor it because Xbox did not want their ads running on the same programs as PlayStation and vice versa. They want to own you. The platform wants to own you.
Yeah. And I've said that in videos before.
And this was television. And so, I remember the Super Bowl. Do you remember that? It was the Pepsi halftime show or something like that. Pepsi sponsored the halftime show. And right after Lady Gaga jumped off the stage, and I joked that it was like that ending in Mortal Kombat where, they're tumbling through the earth forever and ever because we never saw her land. What do they run? The new Coke ad. Right after the Pepsi halftime show. And I said to my husband, somebody's going to be pissed about that. Because Coke paid a premium to run it there. They do that shit to each other.
And and that's the reason why what Liana's saying is the perfect reason why sponsors hate you content creators, because there's no control. On my channel, it's just my fat ass and a microphone. I don't have a director. I don't have a producer. Mm-hmm. I don't have a corporation that I work for. There's no one to vet my stuff besides me. That is a worst nightmare to an advertiser. Because
and it should be the exact opposite to that. They should want to jump in on that authenticity.
They don't want to, though. They don't want to. No, they want to control what you say, because they want to make sure it's in the best interest of their product. And again, in the best interest of whatever agenda they have. Because like I said, if there's a CEO out there, a stock in a certain missile company, again, that's just an example. They want you to be pro that, so they end up making it so because it fits their financial interests. So and that Fox and CNN and MSNBC, they'll be begging those war drums pro-war. And if that's that case, that as of example I give, they're going to want to run their ads on there, because that's to their best interest.
Why do you think the ads are all Boeing and Dell and that kind of stuff? I don't know why Xbox hasn't started buying ads on CNN, so they'll stop trashing gamers every time somebody gets murdered. Like, somebody's got to do it, because holy crap, they know they can't criticize certain things. So they don't, yeah. But it's true. But I would think that we're not talking the big brands, although certain brands that need a rehab. Pepsi right now needs a bit of help after that, what's her name, Jenner ad. Pepsi could buy a lot of goodwill if they just said, we're going to spread the money around a bunch of, authentic YouTubers who have decent followers, but don't have, it's just them talking to a camera. It's very authentic. And
what a delicious irony that they pulled out of YouTube because they were offended, and then they come out with that ad. Oh God.
But marketers are like that. It's so funny, because the episode of Blackish right before that happened was about him pandering to all the things that he thought would make this ad blow up. And then, he shows it to all the guys at work, and they all love it. And they show it to his wife and his mom. And they're both like, because it was, the black guy and the blonde chick, the woman of color has been forced out of it. And so he had to decide whether to go with this ad that everybody said was great, or do what was actually right and not shit all over his heritage for $1. And he ended up reshooting the ad. And of course he made less on it, but his wife didn't kill him. If Pepsi had made that same choice, that debacle would not have happened. Now, I don't know how important one ad is to a soft drink company like that.
It's not.
But it didn't help.
No.
It was a stumble, and and it's funny because Pepsi, to be fair to them, is one of the more pro-gaming companies out there because of Mountain Dew. So they know gamers spend money on their stuff.
What bothers me about this whole thing, too, is that, again, even YouTube came out and said this issue really is a non-issue. Yeah, we don't really get why we're getting boycotted over, when one out of every 1 billion videos may have a questionable ad on it. And we usually, as soon as people report it or they find out about it, their algorithm finds out about it, they take it down. Is that what my concern is? What will be the future of YouTube? Because I don't see them ever doing a complete about face on this unless they find some magic formula.
Yeah.
I don't know, if they become a more corporate centric website, it's going to kill exactly what made YouTube successful. So what the hell is the point?
Well, here's the thing. The thing that YouTube is going to have to become comfortable with is advertisers hate digital media platforms. They buy on YouTube because they generate some results, but advertisers would be very happy to go back to the days of 4 TV stations that everybody watched. Yeah. They hate the diversification of media. They hate that it has gone online, and they hate how quickly trends change. They want predictability, and advertising is not like that. But if these companies were smart, Instead of buying a YouTube ad that can end up anywhere, they'd work directly with the content creators. YouTube could take a finder's fee to match and say, we're going to send you signage and we're going to send you a product. And you have to use these in your segments and we will pay you. If they want control, that's the way to get control.
I think they're going to have to do something like that because there's no way that YouTube, when there's hundreds upon hundreds of hours, a minute of video uploaded to the website, can police the entire website. And for these advertisers to try to expect that from them is just ridiculous. I think what YouTube is going to have to do is do something like that, where, you know, they're going to be like, hey, Review Tech USA is gaming. He does do politics once in a while. Yeah. We think you'd be a good fit. We think you'd be a good fit. Yeah. And maybe have something like that going, because this is just not going to work. Having political channels, like Secular Talk was saying, Kyle Kuklinski from there was saying that he's not pro-ISIS. He does talk about ISIS in videos. Right. Those videos, because the word ISIS is in the video, get demonetized. Yeah. That's not how it should be. Yep. Yep. You know, he shouldn't be penalized because there may be one guy with 3 subscribers who may be pro-ISIS who got a Coke ad on his video because you let him YouTube because you didn't have a vetting process that you got rid of from like 2012 until now.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing that happened to me. I was dealing with police accountability with sexual assault cases and properly, reporting them. You would think that advocating for women's rights would be great for CoverGirl or Dove or something like that. But they didn't see it as a positive. They don't do the context. It's just, nope, the word's in it. And so it gets flagged. And the number of times all I've had to do is change the title to the video, and all of a sudden it's advertiser friendly. That's bullshit.
So ridiculous. Yeah. And that stupid, it's that blanket demonetization where anything that, God forbid, may piss off an advertiser, let's just demonetize everything instead of saying, let's go by context. But then again, the system that's the fundamental flaw of YouTube. It's so big that no one can control it. So they have to have these dumbass AI robots going around scouring it like that. I don't know. I really think also it has to happen too, beyond the fact that they need to do more of a controlled sponsorship thing where they actually talk to different YouTubers and maybe set up like a third-party major big-time agency to do that for Google. Is that I think they also need competition. I would love to see, like, maybe, God forbid, say this, but Facebook, VidMe, a lot of people are talking about vid.me. Yeah. I'd love to see someone come up and set up a system that bites YouTube in the ass. So
they Facebook's already started. They've invested heavily and they are luring away software companies, like streaming video companies, so that it's easier to get onto Facebook. They are really bullish on video. That's why this live shooting freaked everybody out, because it really derailed it for them. They want to be a competitor because they want people to stay on Facebook.
Oh, which makes me so angry. Yeah. People were going after Facebook because of the whole thing that happened in Cleveland with the live shooting. Yeah. I put an analogy, and I want to make sure I word it right because it really hit the point, the one I used. And I put an analogy on Twitter of people who were blaming Facebook for what happened. I said, blaming Facebook for the Cleveland live stream murder is like me blaming a grocery store for making me fat. Please shut the fuck up, I wrote. And it's true.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. That same guy, if that's what he wanted to do, would have hijacked a live local news service. He would have gone, somebody was doing a live hit from someone, he would have dragged, because that's what they used to do to get attention. Facebook's easier and more immediate, but there are ways to do that. I mean, serial killers used to taunt the police through the mail. It's the same urge, right? They want the fame. They want the infamy. They want to matter. And does Facebook make that easier? Yes, but Facebook did not create that urge.
These sponsors and media companies and stupid sheeple have to realize, just a general dumb, ignorant, low IQ public, is that These big companies like YouTube, Facebook, Google, even vid.me, they're smaller, but it's still tough for them to monitor all the content that gets uploaded.
Yeah.
They're not babysitters. They're offering you a platform for you to upload something. If you do something stupid, they have things in place that can get you shut down or get it shut down. But it's not their place to sit there and filter through every single piece of video that gets uploaded. That's like shutting down or blaming an entire city because one person commits a crime. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So you can't, there's this stupid, and I saw advertisers saying, well, if they can make self-driving cars, they can find a way to get rid of hate speech on our ad. Like our ads connect to hate speech. No, they can't. There's no way they can. There's so many ways around that. You're not an engineer. You don't understand the magnitude of how big YouTube is. Stop making it like you do. But they don't care though. Like, look, I have the money. I can say whatever I want to. You are my bitch, or else I'm not putting ads on your page.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such investment, and it's going to be, honestly, until there's going to be a lot of legal battles, I believe. A lot of websites are probably going to die until they figure out a system that works. I do feel that YouTube, unfortunately, eventually is going to become the next MySpace, because they're like MySpace, they're the first ones to be successful at it. And like MySpace fell on their sword so Facebook could learn from it. I have a feeling there's going to be another video sharing site. Maybe it could possibly be Facebook, or maybe it could be VidMe, or it could be whatever. Maybe Amazon will get into doing video sharing. That they'll learn from YouTube's mistakes when YouTube, I hate to say it, I think eventually falls on their sword.
Facebook has shown surprising resiliency for a social media platform. I mean, the irony is that these social media platforms are precisely why advertisers are so hesitant to spend, because they think, oh, we'll get our own social media team and we'll get a page and we'll do all our own stuff, and then we don't have to pay anybody. Oh, they do that. We have our own.
I know they do, but get the fuck out though.
I mean, I was hired by an ad company to do some write-up stuff on Gears of War. It was a one-off. I did it in 6 hours, but they pay to have that placed around the internet. And that they prefer that because they can control what it is. They can vet the content. They're not leaving it open to, they don't know what the person's going to say. They don't like doing these standing deals. They don't like sponsoring a program. They want to sponsor a specific video because, oh man, do they rubber glove you. Yeah, I did a thing for a brand that will not be named. It was a brand targeting 8 to 12-year-old boys as their key demo, so I couldn't mention Batman. It was ridiculous. It had nothing to do with Batman, but I couldn't mention Batman because boys like Batman, and it was distracting.
Wow.
Yeah. The number of times I make jokes about, evil major corporations, it always gets taken out. But I do it anyway because I know they're going to flag that, so they'll pay less attention to my other over-the-line stuff because, oh, okay, we've had our mark on it. We did our job. We took that out, and they leave other things in that to me are way more subversive. But you learn to play the game that way. And
it is a game. It is a game
because you have to still, you have to still respect your audience. You have to still produce pieces of writing that you stand by and keep these giant corporations happy. And it's funny because then this stuff overperforms, but when you go to pitch the next time, they're just as skittish because they're not worried about the audience. They're worried about pitching it to their bosses or their client. It's all a very tenuous process.
And you know what the most amazing thing, and we'll end with this, is that they always make it like, oh, we need to protect the quality of our brand, and these are things that we don't believe in. Let me tell you something right now with these corporations and these advertisers. If the popular thing was being hateful and racist, and that was the majority, they would be behind it. Their morality is where the dollars are. The morality isn't what they actually believe in. They don't give a fuck about anything. If they were getting money from Satan himself and it was profitable enough to hold up the whole company, they would be 100% behind it. Mm-hmm. It's just because, feminism is trendy right now. We're pro-feminist. We're even pro Anita Sarkeesian. And if you don't agree with her, we're gonna not sponsor you. Happened to me. It's not about morality. It's about what's the trend at the moment, and they'll kiss whatever trend's ass, which they feel will make them the most money. And that's the game that one of these video sharing sites have to figure out. YouTube has to figure out how to make the advertisers their bitch, not YouTube being the advertiser's bitch. So, all right, guys, this was an excellent podcast, but we were all over the place, but it was so cool. It was a lot of fun. Once again, Liana, thank you for being on. It was great. Again, if you guys want to keep us talking about stuff like this, keep us sponsor free. Again, there'll be a link to the Patreon, whatever you're watching it, whether it be on iTunes or on Podbean. And again, thank you for coming through once again. We will be back next week. Have a good one.